Hi guys! So far we've been learning about some different types of fiction, right? We know that fiction is fake and that fiction stories are made up. Who remembers the two types of fiction we've learned about so far? I'll give you a clue. The first one was Once Upon a Time and Happily Ever After. Some of the other elements are that there's princes and princesses, good and evil, the numbers 3 and 7. Takes place a long, long time ago in a land far, far away. How many of you said fairy tales? You're right. Our second fiction genre that we learned about was, does anybody remember what that one's called? That one has talking animals. Sometimes it has magic, things that could never happen in real life. So Elephant and Piggy books, Pigeon books, Pete the Cat, Curious George, Clifford the Big Red Dog. Those would all be examples of fantasy. So far we've learned about fairy tales and fantasy. They are both types of fiction. They couldn't happen in real life. Well, today we're going to talk about a third type of fiction. But this type of fiction is special because it's still made up. The author still thought of it in his or her own brain. It didn't happen in real life, but it's realistic fiction. Realistic means it's like something real, right? So even though this story was made up in the author's brain, it's something that could happen in real life. So it's a story where you could imagine yourself. It has human characters. It has a problem and then a solution at the end, and the human came up with the solution all on their own. Okay, so we've talked about the book My Rotten Red-Headed Older Brother a lot in school. Remember, in that book, the girl doesn't like her older brother. He gets on her nerves. That's a thing that could happen in real life, right? The book Enemy Pie is a good example of realistic fiction, right? Kids have enemies sometimes, or they think they do, right? And today I want to read you another book that's realistic fiction. It's about humans. It's about a kid and a problem that a kid has that could happen in real life. And maybe something like this has even happened to you before. This book is called Sky Color. The author is Peter Reynolds. And you may have heard some of Peter Reynolds' other books. He writes about kids who are artists a lot. So The Dot, I feel like we might have read this in school at the beginning of the year. I don't remember for sure, but I think we might have. In this book, there's a little girl, and she doesn't believe that she's a good artist. And her art teacher teaches her to be confident in herself and shows her that she can be a great artist, even by drawing different types of dots. So this is something that, even though it didn't happen in real life, and Peter Reynolds made it up in his head, it definitely could happen in real life. And then another one of his books that you might know is called Ish. So this is about a boy who is an artist, and he's not confident in his artwork either, but it turns out that lots of people love the type of art that he does, which is very unique. This one is Sky Color, and this is what we'll be reading today. Sky Color by Peter H. Reynolds. Marisol was an artist. She loved to draw and paint, and she even had her very own art gallery. So you see she's hanging all her artwork on her fridge, and her cat is looking at it. So boys and girls, so far, is this something that could happen in real life? Absolutely. Kids could paint, and they could hang up their artwork on their fridge. Not all her art hung in a gallery. Much of it she shared with the world. She painted posters to share ideas she believed in. Her poster says, "Save the ocean." At school, Marisol was famous for her creative clothes, her box of art supplies, and her belief that everybody was an artist. Yes, Marisol was an artist through and through. So when her teacher told the class they were going to paint a mural for the library, Marisol couldn't wait to begin. Does anybody know what a mural is? It's a big, huge painting, and lots of times it might be on a wall or the side of a building, and lots of people might help with it because it's so big. The classroom buzzed with the sound of brainstorming. The students talked and sketched. Together they made a great big drawing. Then they marched to the library. I'll paint a fish. I'll paint one too. I'll paint the ocean. Marisol shouted, I'll paint the sky. So they have a plan together of what they want to paint in their mural. Marisol rummaged through the box of paint but could not find any blue. How am I going to make the sky without blue paint? I want you to stop, and I want you to think for a minute about what you know about the sky and make some predictions of what could happen. How could Marisol solve her problem? Any ideas of how this might end? What the solution to the problem might be? The bell rang. It was time to put their brushes down for the day. As she climbed aboard the bus, Marisol kept wondering. All the way home, she stared out the window. She's really thinking about this a lot. Ooh, look how beautiful the sky is. The sun lowered closer to the horizon. Wonder if you can find any clues on this page of what might happen. Later, at home, Marisol watched day turn into night. That night, Marisol settled into a deep dream. She drifted through a sky swirling with colors. The colors mixed, making too many to count. Now you might be thinking that couldn't happen in real life. She couldn't drift through the sky, but it's not really happening to Marisol. Do you remember what they said on the last page? What did the author say? That she's having a dream that this is happening. So you could certainly have a dream that this is happening. In the morning, Marisol stood waiting for the bus in the rain. The sky was not blue. She smiled. Why do you think she's smiling if the sky is not blue? Think about what her problem is in this book. At school, Marisol raced to the library. She grabbed a dish and began adding colors. This one, that one. She swirled the brush to make an altogether new color. Marisol then began painting on the wall. A boy asked, "What color is that?" "That?" Marisol said. "That is sky color." That's so beautiful. Look at that sky. And all the fish jumping out of the water. And that's the end. So how did Marisol solve her own problem in that book, boys and girls? Did she realize that the sky is not always blue? It doesn't always look blue, does it? So could that book have happened in real life? Could that story have happened? Absolutely. Have you ever had a hard time when you're in art class or trying to make an art creation at home and thought, I can't do this, or it doesn't look right, or I don't have the right colors? And you've solved a problem? You've solved that problem somehow, right? So since that book is something that could happen in real life, it has real people, it doesn't have talking animals, it doesn't have once upon a time and happily ever after in a land far, far away and a long time ago. It just has real people, people who are realistic and who solved real people problems. So that is a realistic fiction book. It could happen in real life, but the author made the story up for the book in his own brain. All right, boys and girls, have fun with your realistic fiction assignment today, and I will see you later, alligators.